Welcome back to the Who's Yanks, where we talk everything Canada soccer and US soccer. Yesterday I did a video on Canada's player commit, and today I'll be doing a video on the US roster, which I promised I did yesterday, but unfortunately I didn't have time to post that one, so here I am. Apologies in advance for that, by the way, but here we are. We're going to be talking about the World Cup qualifying roster for the Yanks, and we're also going to be doing. You're also going to stick around to see me include my own little version of a FootWiz kind of FIFA projected lineup. What I think is going to happen, given Greg Berhalter's picks and given what the best talent we can possibly put out against Mexico in this lineup. So without further ado, here we are. The USA World Cup qualifying roster is here. By the way, reminders that the USA does have games in Cincinnati, or one game in Cincinnati versus Mexico. I know it's not in Columbus, but it's still in Ohio. And it's a sellout crowd, by the way. So get your tickets. And that game is in Cincinnati on the November 12th, and then November 16th, the U.S. will travel to Jamaica and play in Kingston, Jamaica, to try and continue their quest for CONCACAF World Cup qualifying Qatar. So let's dive right into this, shall we? So starting with our goalkeepers, we have Sean Johnson, Zach Steffen, and Matt Turner. You can already tell, I think that Matt Turner is probably going to be a starter in this one. Zach Steffen, he did try to come back against Costa Rica, as we saw last game, but I think Matt Turner's really been in form. You know, that's another thing when I thought you have to think about when you made your roster too, is who's in form, you know, who's performing the best, and who can possibly give us the best chance to win against Mexico or Jamaica. And right now, Matt Turner for the New England Revolution is on fire. And Zach Steffen, I know he's with Man City, so he is with a better club, but you got to remember, he's just a sub, and he doesn't get that much playing time, although he is training with them. But Matt Turner here is getting a lot of playing time for the New England Revolution, which is why I think he'll be the go-to keeper in this window. Maybe Zach Steffen will get some action against Jamaica, but for Mexico, I think it's going to be Matt Turner. On to the defenders now. We have Reggie Cannon, Mark McKenzie, Chris Richards, young guy. Remember, I don't know if we saw him last window. I think we did, but I didn't really pay attention. So I'll definitely be looking to pay more attention if he's on the field now. Anthony Robinson, Miles Robinson, Joel Scally. That's another one that's important to. I think New York City FC stand out. Playing his football over in Europe as well. So a young rising star for the USA who plays his football in Europe. Sam Vines, DeAndre Elliott, and Walker Zimmerman. I think I can't tell you exactly who I put. I definitely have my starting lineup picked out, but I posted on FootWiz, so you'll see that at the end. And but I think that if I can recall, that'd be Walker Zimmerman, DeAndre Yedlin. So Walker Zimmerman center back, DeAndre Yedlin on right back, Miles Robinson on center back. And I think is it Reggie Cannon on Reggie Cannon on left back, one of the others. I think if it wasn't Miles Robinson, it was probably Anthony Robinson, but I think it's Miles Robinson who will get the start here for mine. So you'll see my exact picks at the end of the FootWiz when I post that, but I think that's what I picked. So we'll find out in a little bit. On to our midfielders now. We have Kellen Acosta, Tyler Adams, Gianluca Busio, Sebastian Lletget, Weston McKennie, Yannis Musa, and Christian Roldan. I can definitely tell you who I picked for my midfielders in FootWiz. The answer is definitely you got to have Weston McKennie here. You got to have Tyler Adams, I think, as well. And then for me, the third part was challenging. You can have Yannis Musa, who's looked decently, but I think he's getting up to speed. You can have Christian Roldan, which is, or Sebastian Lletget, which are, obviously, I think that's going to be, those are two of Greg Berhalter's favorite players. So I think that either of those, despite my lineup, might get the start. And then Gianluca Busio is just, I think he's still young. Kellen Acosta has still got some more developing to do. So that narrows my list down to, I had Christian Roldan and Sebastian Lletget. I think I have, this one's neck and neck because Greg Berhalter honestly loves both of them just the same. So I wouldn't be surprised if he honestly starts the game, or he wouldn't start the game with both of them on the field. I don't think he would, but I don't know. It's GB, so we'll find out. But definitely, I can see them coming off the bench together and replacing two players and playing on the same field together. But for the sake of my lineup, I had Christian Rodon um, actually starting here because over Sebastian Lletget. It's just because I think that's what the best lineup I could possibly put out. Remember, if the U.S. is trying to beat Mexico, so they're trying. You got to put your best lineup, and I think Christian Rodon over Sebastian Lletget. It's neck and neck, but I think he might give us the best opportunity to win against Mexico. Um, on to the forwards finally. We have Brendan Aronson, Paul Arriola, Jesus Ferreira, by the way, FC Dallas. We haven't seen him since the under-23s have failed to qualify for the World Cup. So glad to see him with the senior team. Ricardo Pepi, he's been on the rise. Christian Pulisic and Tim Weah. This one was difficult for me, honestly, just like the mid. We already know you got to have Christian Pulisic, and then the next two are very, very hard. I put Tim Weah for one because he's looked very, very good when he came in against Costa Rica and Columbus and helped score his own goal, but he took credit for that. I'll give him credit for that. Brendan Aronson, he's a speed demon on the wing, so I had him. I had Brendan Aronson, Christian Pulisic, and Tim Weah as my three up top. Remember playing a 4-3-3 formation, but at the same time, it's hard to turn down Ricardo Pepi, especially. He can play against his other country, Mexico, and who wouldn't want to do that? So that's kind of, I don't know. It's really hard to leave Ricardo Pepi out of the starting lineup. Same with Jesus Ferreira. I think he has Colombian American, but who wouldn't want to play against their biggest rival? And then Paul Arriola is just, he's kind of like in the Gold Cup. He's decent, but I don't think he'll give us the best chance to beat Mexico. So, Ricardo Pepi and Jesus Ferreira are young, and I think they'll be great players to come off the bench and provide the team energy and maybe give the spark that'll lead to the goal. But for the sake of starters, you gotta have Christian Pulisic, Captain America himself. Tim Weah's looked in form. I think you gotta have him. He's looked really great. And then Brendan Aronson with the speed on the wing, as well as he can give great ball deliveries into the box. I think those are your three you got to roll with Ricardo Pepi and Jesus Ferreira coming off the bench. Maybe Paul Arriola, but I honestly wouldn't want to play Paul Arriola until Jamaica. That's honestly my opinion. But without further ado, this is what I've chosen for Footwiz, and you guys can take a good long look at that and look at the chemistry, look at the team rating. But you got to remember that Greg Berhalter likes to put people in different positions, so just take this one for granted. Take this with a grain of salt. Don't really look too much into it. This is just my personal one and what I think he'll put out. Although GB works in mysterious way, so we can only find out the day of the game. And but yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed analyzing that. Now let's a couple reminders for you on TV. U.S. versus Mexico. You can go watch that one in the U.S. On ESPN2, Univision, or TUDN. If you were watching in the U.S., I'm currently in Canada, so I'll be able to stream it in a different way. But if you're in the U.S., you have ESPN2, Univision, and TUDN to watch from. And then November 16th, Jamaica versus USA. You can watch that on Paramount Plus, or it looks like Universal. So I don't know if it'll be on DirecTV, but if you can catch a stream or if you have a subscription on Paramount Plus. I know the way that the USA has been, I heard rumors about it that it's, I don't know why, or many Americans are upset that they're getting jobbed. The U.S. pro TV programs are not really focusing too much on the U.S. national team, honestly, as they're trying to make history, right? This is the biggest sport in the world and the biggest stage in the world. So I don't know why. And I agree. I don't know why down there in the U.S. they're kind of jobbing the U.S. national team with the TV subscriptions, showing only certain games, I guess, like the highlight games, like U.S. Mexico, rather than the little ones. Like I heard Panama wasn't shown. Jamaica doesn't look like it'll be shown on TV. Instead, you have to be a subscription, which is kind of messed up, I honestly think that, if whenever you have a big game, whenever a team, your country is trying to make history on the world stage, um, I honestly think that, you should just like, honestly, just like show them. I mean, why wouldn't you want to show them? This is something I never understand. Just imagine up here in Canada, imagine them not showing um, every single Canadian game on TV, especially when Canada's been doing really well lately. Same with the U.S. The USA is a young team. They're on the rise. I don't know why the TV programs and networks are not giving credit to this U.S. team, which it sucks, but it is what it is. Hopefully, the USA just gets better and even better. That way, they can force these TV networks to show them on TV. Um, that's just my little short rant on that. By the way, guys, comment down and know how you like the foot whiz. What do you think about my foot whiz thing that I had here? Um, what changes would you ever would have done, and But then again, Greg Berhalter would have he likes to move people around. But just tell me, what do you think about that in the comment section? Who would you have instead taking the place of person X? In there. But other than the roster, I said Jesus Ferreira, and a couple young Joe Scally, Jesus Ferreira and Joe Scally, and I think Chris Richards as well, and Ricardo Pepi as well. Those are also some names to see. Ricardo Pepi we've seen, but the other three, Joe Scally, Chris Richards, and Jesus Ferreira, we really haven't seen them play with the senior team. So I'm really excited if they can see them play. Although I think they'll play in the Jamaica game. Although I think it's going to have Ricardo Pepi coming off the bench to give the spark for the USA in the Mexico game, because why wouldn't he want to play against his former country? So that'll be fun. But other than that, there's really no Gio Reyna still. He's out with an injury, so that's why the midfield I have Brendan Anderson, and we have the other guy that I saw in the foot whiz with Weston McKennie. So that explains the roster pretty much. Other than Gio Reyna not being there, no really surprises, no big changes, none of that. Just a few other young guys that we haven't seen or we forgot that were on the national team. So for the lineup part, that pretty much does. And I'm going to do a quick recap of prediction of the U.S. Mexico and U.S. Jamaica games. It's only two of them, so I'm not going to drag this out really long. Starting with U.S. and Mexico, what I think the score will be. Hard-fought game in Cincinnati between two bitter rivals, like always. It's not in Columbus, so it's not going to be I don't know if it's going to be a 2-0 unless Cincinnati is written a new storyline. I could see this being a 1-1 maybe tie, maybe a 2-1 victory for the USA. We've seen that Canada went down the Azteca, and this, Mexico wasn't just in. By the way, Mexico's not in their form where they're just steamrolling everybody and CONCACAF qualifying. They struggled with Canada, they struggled with Jamaica until the last second. And that just shows that they're not just going to be blowing people out. I don't think not, but we can only find out. But I honestly think that the USA is going to hold their own in Cincinnati. Maybe sneak out a late winner, 2-1, as they've always been doing against Mexico. It seems like they did in summer, and both the Gold Cup and the Nations League final. So I think they're going to sneak out a late goal. It's going to be 2-1 or maybe even 1-0. It's going to be a 1-goal win, no matter how you look at it. If not, then it's just going to be a draw, which honestly, I don't know, that would be good for the USA, because they get points and Mexico is really hard to come by. Although I think many players are going to be on this US team going to be looking for blood to just play against the USA, just like how Canada likes to play against the USA. So I think it's going to be more so a rivalry renewed kind of thing. How the USA is trying not to get blown out, and they're going to try and put on a show for the sold out TQL Stadium. By the way, beautiful stadium in Cincinnati. So I think they're going to put on a show there. And then finally, the Jamaica versus USA. It's in Kingston, so I don't know if the USA is going to dominate. Canada struggled in Jamaica. They tied 0-0. If the USA can really have a good game, I think it'll be a 2-0 performance. I don't think they'll blow Jamaica out in Jamaica. Just like when they played in Austin, I think that was only a 2-0 game. I think it'll be the same way maybe even 1-0 in Jamaica, because I don't know, the pitch, you got to consider the pitch. They're playing at someone else's stadium. They're not going to have any fans. So that's going to probably benefit the USA. You don't have to worry about fans, but you do have to worry about playing surface. And so that'll be interesting to see how the USA can cope with that. But other than that, I don't know who Jamaica. I don't know if still if Jamaica's going to bring up their European-based team or what. But if they do, it's going to be a struggle for the USA. If they don't, if they bring up what they can bring up, just the pieces, I think the USA may win 2-0. And if they are able to blow it open like they did in Honduras, then maybe 3 or 4. But for the sake of that, let's be reasonable, no more than 2. So I think the USA is going to come out with a 4-point window, maybe. You know, being realistic, it could be a 3-point window with a tie against Mexico. And I mean, long as you don't drop points, that's all that matters. Don't lose, and you'll be in good standing, I think. If Canada wins both of them, then they'll probably leapfrog the USA. And same with Panama. I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. So the USA, just for the best interest, I would just say win them all. Just win both games, get the 6 points, and call it a halfway decent window. But yeah, that pretty much does it for this one. The USA, as I said, the lineup, no really big change besides Gio Reyna still being injured and a couple youngsters being called up. And then a couple game recaps with Mexico. I think they're going to sneak out a late winner there. And Jamaica, they might pull out a 2-0 performance. So if you like that video, make sure you like it, share, subscribe it. Tell all your friends about it. And also tell your friends that, get ready to watch 03 versus the USA and Cincinnati at TQL Stadium on November 12th.